think it ended yesterday, but like, yeah, we're just gonna keep doing these here into April. So friends, if and they'll tell a friend, and then hopefully America will have seen the films. But that's our distribution. But yeah, how many people? I can't resist the urge to do like hacky stand-up comedian things. How many people live in Utah? I'm just curious. Oh wow, cool, thanks. I thank you guys for having me this week. I played in Salt Lake City on last Friday night. I did my new show that I'm touring with, and yeah, that person went. And but yeah, this place is awesome. Like it's an incredible state, and I didn't have a chance to do anything interesting because I'm doing like interviews and all this stuff all week until like yesterday. I'm like, now I'm going to experience Utah, and I went to Deer Valley, and I had an accident where skiing, where I was like a yard sale style accident where my poles and skis and mittens and sleeping bag were every 40 yards around. And then I was like, oh no, this is a disaster. And then I was like, I gotta get in a hot tub at my hotel, and I went there, and my phone was in my pocket. And here's the thing, if you do that, it doesn't work anymore. Like, it doesn't matter what plan you have, even if you have any tough minutes, your phone will not work after that. So my day has been it's been kind of frazzled, but this was such a pleasant surprise that you guys showed up here, and first of all, I'm going to bring up one of my producers. Give a big round of applause to Jacob Jassy. Jacob produced the film along with Ira Glass, and I think they just did an incredible job. Jacob's produced a lot of films, and he really kind of, if it weren't for him, the movie wouldn't be made. And so I thank Jacob, and we're just going to take questions if you have any questions about what happened today. Just in your life, in general. Go ahead.
So obviously, like, it was a stand-up routine, it's been on the Muff, This American Life, the one-man show, and now the film. Like, what the stages of it, and like, what do you like about the film that wasn't present, obviously, in the radio show, and other than just the fact that it's now seen?
Well, Ira Glass and I started working together around the time of the one-man show. Oh, the question was, like, why did you make a movie? So, in 2008, I was running my one-man show, Sleepwalk With Me, off-Broadway in New York, and Nathan Lane presented. It was like a really neat thing, and around that time, Ira Glass decided that he wanted to put an excerpt of it on This American Life, the radio show that you guys might know because you have fancy glasses. There's enough Ira clones in the audience to know that. But yeah, so he and I started working on a bunch of stories for his show. I've done like 6 or 7 stories on his show, and he's absolutely brilliant. I mean, Ira. The thing I didn't understand about Ira before I met him is that he is This American Life. Like, I always thought, like, oh, he's just got a neat voice, and that's not the whole thing. He's an incredible producer and really a kind of a story Jedi, and so we started working on this because we thought not only is it kind of like just an interesting story that you would tell, it's cinematic, it has dreams, it has sleepwalking, which is really, I've never seen it really depicted in a film. Like, I feel like it's always kind of the cliche, kind of cartoon, like Olive Oil and the Popeye cartoon, like walking through construction site kind of thing. And it's actually, I think, much more interesting than that to see. And so yeah, that's how we decided to make this film. And it's something I'd always wanted to direct a film since I was in college, and I made a bunch of shorts in college and lost all my money, and I was like, I can't do this anymore, because this is the opposite of a job. You have to pay the other person to do it. That's not a job. So I did stand-up comedy because there's no overhead to stand-up comedy. You you just go on the stage. This is stand-up comedy right now, and it doesn't cost anybody anything. And eventually I circled back to making this film. Go ahead.
I can see from the ring on your finger you got married.
Whoa, easy. That's such a sassy tone. See from the ring on your finger that you have gotten married. And what was the question? How's that go for you? Maybe more southern. It's funnier that way. Well, it's great. I've been married for about 3 years or so. People might know that story. I did on This American Life on an episode called Return to the Scene of the Crime. I told the story about how I decided to get married. So if you want to learn more about that, you can, and that's actually what my one-man show that I'm touring with right now, my girlfriend's boyfriend, is about. So yeah, I got married to my wife Jenny, and without her, I wouldn't have been able to make this film as well. She's great. So go ahead.
Does your dad recognize that you have a profession now?
My dad, the question is, does your dad recognize that you have a profession now? Ira and I have this thing in common, which is, Ira was saying to me about a year ago that he was getting, his parents never believed that he could be a radio personality. They thought it wasn't a real profession. They wanted him to go to medical school and all these things. And he invited them when he was receiving the Peabody Award, or it's like the most prestigious award you could possibly get in journalism. And they're at the event, and he was saying to all of his producers at the table, like, so what is this? Like, what do you guys do exactly? And it's just like this whole, you can never please your parents unless you have like hippie parents.
My dad still sends me monster job alerts, so.
Oh yeah, sure. Way in the back, sir.
For this great thing from Joe Didion about how writers are always selling somebody out, somebody in the line. Is that even more important in stand-up comedy?
It's a funny quote, because I think there's some truth to that. I never read that quote. My friend, who's a filmmaker, and she created a show, Hung, Colette Burson once said to me, she goes, you have to pick your few friends, and then everybody else is fair game. And I think, yeah, there's some truth to that. I mean, I feel lucky in the sense, like with my book and my film, like, I don't really make fun of other people that much, so much as I make fun of myself. I try to take myself down pretty hard and be really critical. And so, if someone says something to me, which they rarely do, you know, like my ex-girlfriend who was depicted in the film, like she loves the film and read the script and read the book and everything and is really supportive. And I try to take myself down harder so that it doesn't feel so bad when I'm taking other people down. Because somebody's got to go down. Or else it ain't funny.
But for that true, somebody has to go down, somebody's got to take a hit, or it is hilarious?
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, in comedy, I think there has to be a target of some kind, and it can be a person, or it can be an organization, or it can be a country. But yeah, somebody, I think, has to go down in comedy, or at least the comedy I'm familiar with. But yeah, maybe not, I don't know. Was there another person in the back? Because I think there's a couple hands in the back. No, okay, this person.
Is the situation with the agent, where you approached the agent and then just started doing gigs from level 0 and got to level whatever you are now, is that
1,000.
Is that the actual path that you took, and what advice do you have for other comedians who are at level 0 at the moment?
Oh, yeah. Okay, the question is, what do you do if you're a comedian who's at level 0? It's hard. I mean, I have a friend who's a comedian in Eugene Merman, who's, I think, an extraordinary comedian, who if you're a fan of his, he knows, like, has a, like, walk on for like 1 second in the movie. But but a lot of comedians approach him because he hosts a show in New York that's really experimental at Union Hall, actually, where this film was shot, like where I'm a bartender in the film. And he always says about stand-up comedy, and he just goes, when people ask him for advice, he always goes, well, start doing it, and then keep doing it, and then call me in 10 years and tell me how it's going. Because it's an endurance game. I think filmmaking is a similar thing. I think there's no path. If there was a path, everyone would do it, and so or a lot more people would do it, and so I feel like you kind of have to figure out how to get on stage. I mean, that's all true in the sense of like, I would host lip sync contests. I would be like, I would perform in gymnasiums in the center of a walk-a-thon for lupus. Like, like that all is stuff that happened just because I wanted to do it so badly that I would do anything. Anything about the production, because we have our producer here on stage. The design, the production, go ahead.
Well, my question is mostly about the casting, because you have an amazing cast. So I was kind of wondering how...
Is this about the production, or is it...
You might be able to weigh in on it.
Okay.
He's probably there for the process.
Got it.
I was kind of wondering how you were able to
I'm
get
just
the...
scolding the rest of you. Everyone to think about what your production was.
I was kind of wondering about how the cast came together, and I was also wondering how people who were depicted by said cast, if those people have reacted at all to their depictions.
Well, the casting director was a woman named Jane Houston, who's an extraordinary casting director out in New York City. She cast like Krista Milioti as my sister, who I think is great. She cast Wyatt Cenac. I thought that was a great idea. Like Mark Maron as Mark Mulheron. Bowden Wainwright as my Uncle Max. Mary Louise Burke, who I love, is my aunt. And then, like, I think the people who I just wanted in the film were Carol Kane, who I'd met a few years before, and I was always like, I want you to be my mom. And she's like, what? That movie. And then Lauren Ambrose, who my wife Jenny had been a fan of 6 Feet Under, and I didn't have a television at the time that was on, but she was always like, we wanted someone for Lauren's, for the part of Abby, who was a really strong woman, who just exuded strength and confidence in a way that you couldn't possibly feel sorry for her when inevitably the characters break up at the end of the film. I think like one of the worst things that can happen in a film or a play is where you just feel bad for the people, like, oh. And in this case particularly, because the protagonist is breaking up with her, and you can't really feel sorry for Lauren. She's a badass, and so I asked her to do the film probably a year before, and so she was always very supportive. Go ahead.
Tell us a little bit about the development of it. I noticed there's a Sundance logo on there and a UTA logo. How did it go from your comedy routines to a story structure?
Well, there's so many questions in that, but the Sundance relationship was through Miguel Arteta, who is one of my favorite directors. He directed The Good Girl and Youth of Revolt and Chuck and Buck, and he cast me like as a bit part in Cedar Rapids, which is a film that came out last year, and I guess he was familiar with my work, and he just called me and was like, would you do this thing in my movie? I was like, yeah, like, I'll do anything for you. Like, I would be anything. I would be an extra in the Miguel Arteta movie. And so when I was on the set of his movie for about a week in Michigan, I just was shadowing him and talking to him about directing. And he introduced me to Michelle Satter from the Sundance Institute. And then they were kind enough to give me a grant, and they set me up with a writing mentor, Mike White, who's one of my favorite writers. And he gave some really extraordinary advice and help with the script. And then, we developed the script over 2 years. Myself and Seth Barish, who directed the play, and Jacob Birbiglia, my brother, who's written for me, like jokes with me like since the start of me doing comedy at all. And then Ira Glass. That's sort of, that's how it came to be. Go ahead.
Given that this story has been out there as your life for a little while, what went into the decision to
fictionalize it for the movie?
Well, as Carol Kane put it, the question is why did you fictionalize it? Why is it Matt Penimiglio, essentially, as opposed to Mike Birbiglia in the film? And as Carol Kane always puts it, he did it to mess me up. In the scenes, you'd be like, oh, Michael, what do you think? And you're like, no, cut. All right, my character's name is Matt. And then, all right, okay. That happened a lot. That happened a lot. Lauren did it a lot too. She called me Mike a lot. But all right, I'm sorry. It didn't work out with us. But I did my best. Earnestly, but we're losing people. If people start heckling, I'm out of here. I think that's an indicator that there's going to be one more question after this. But I think. Oh, so why fictionalize it? You know, I'm totally comfortable discussing my own life and vulnerabilities. I feel weird about talking about like putting my parents on the screen, my ex-girlfriend, all these people, especially when Carol Kane shows up on the set and you give her a script and you say these are the words that the character says. What you get is this kind of magical Carol Kane, hilarious, interesting version of that, and it's its own thing, and it is a character. And so for me to say it's my mom, it's Mary Jean Birbiglia, it's just weird. So go ahead.
So it went from a one-man show to where other characters have voices of their own.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about developing other characters?
The question is, since it was a one-man show, what was the hardest part about developing other characters? I think the same as like other movies, because you just have to write them. Sure, you totally gotta work on that. I think that's it. No, wait, hold on. Who has, okay, there's going to be one more question. If you have a really good question, raise your hand. Like, if you're so smart, like if you're going to reference Joan Didion in your question, you gotta raise your hand. If you're going to open your question with the word given, don't raise your hand. Hey, the jokester. Go ahead.
Well, I have a question about the production.
Oh, great. All right.
Woo!
It's going to be huge.
Was Mike your first choice for a lead in the film?
Peace of mind!
No comment. No, absolutely. I mean, Mike can do it all. I was really impressed with how he was able to wear so many hats at many different times. You know, we have, various crises on set that a director would need to tend to, or a producer would need to tend to, or a writer would need to tend to, or an actor would need to tend to. I would tend to all of them, and with just composure and class, and so yeah, no, it was amazing to watch him work.